Welcome to Disgruntled. My name is Richard. I'm your host, as usual, if you're new here. If you're not new here and you're back, I want to extend my gratitude for you being here. If you do like our content, please consider dropping us a like and subscribe. It really helps us grow the channel. And so a lot of things we'd like to do, and we would really appreciate your assistance by just clicking like and click subscribe. And don't be tongue-tied when you do that. So let's kind of just get down to it, right? Like I have it's kind of an obscure topic to discuss today. And it kind of just came to me. I was having a conversation with my wife. I was having a conversation with, I have some family in from out of town, and we were sitting at dinner and just having a discussion about the state of the things going on, the state of our union, I guess you could say, sort of, but just the way that things are going down in our communities, in our homes, in our places of work, all over this country. And I think that it's important to identify that it happens everywhere. Polarization and this division, this decisiveness that people have, divisiveness that people have going on now, and just the way that strangers, when you're out in public, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the way that some people interact with strangers, for example, like if you're walking through town, you park a couple blocks away from where you're having dinner and you're walking up to the restaurant, and just the way that people pass each other is so much different now. And the looks on the faces of people, like you can almost tell as when they approach each other, it's almost as if you can see the judgment happening. And there's not a whole lot of just friendly, hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. Good to see you. Real simple, right? Just a greeting if you're walking past somebody. A lot of that has stopped, I think. I think it still goes on. I think the smaller the town you get to, depending on where you're at in the country, but around here in Minnesota and western Wisconsin, I think when you get out to a couple more smaller towns in the smaller suburbs of St. Paul and Minneapolis, it's a little bit better, but it seems like people are just leery of each other, and maybe rightfully so. And maybe that is the way that whoever's orchestrating all this stuff, or whoever has their hand in it, or whatever you want to call it, maybe that's the intent. Now, we've talked a lot, even on the Richard Leonard Show over on Rumble, we've talked a lot about how seemingly little changes or little issues that come up and you see in the media, or you read about online, or if anyone reads a paper anymore, that you read in the paper or whatever, there's always just like little things that tweak the way you look at the world. And maybe that's the way that it's supposed to be. And maybe that's just the way human nature is, right? You read, you take in the information, everything has a cause and effect. And so when you're taking in this information, the effect of that is that it changes little tweaks in the things that you notice or don't notice, the things you want to do or don't do or whatever. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it seems to me that there's a good chance that the powers that be in this country, but more importantly, in our communities, are like changing the social landscape. I don't know, maybe I'm not speaking in terms that are conducive to what I'm trying to get through. And so I relate this to, for those of you watching who don't know any of my history, my very good friend Stu and I, we were bounty hunters together. We were partners. We worked together pretty intimately together. Like we would spend hours upon hours upon hours in the same truck, traveling all over this country to find and arrest fugitives who were actively evading capture and trying to escape prosecution. And so we always used to talk about this rising issue of gun violence, for example. Gun violence is a really good example. Let's use that. And so, like in Minneapolis, for example, in early 2000s, before George Floyd overdosed on fentanyl on the streets, it was very clear that gun violence was on the rise, and like the upticks were vast. And I can remember Stu and I we loved coffee. We drank a lot of coffee because we worked very long hours. We would sometimes start work at 10 or 11 in the morning and wouldn't get home until 7 or 8 the next morning. And so we drank a lot of coffee. We were in a lot of quick trips. We were in a lot of Holiday gas stations because they had the best coffee. Quick Trip always had the best coffee. Holiday was next, and then so on down the line. But anyway, I digress. But I remember having a conversation with some Minneapolis police officers. And 2 out of the 4 of them had been working as police officers in the city of Minneapolis for 20, 25, or more years. They put a lot of time in. And regardless of what you think of the police or how you respond to them, the one thing that they used to talk about all the time about how things have changed is that all these guys and gals, they forgot how to take an ass whooping. Meaning, they forgot how to settle their differences with these. They forgot how to stand in the middle of the street if you have to, take off your shirt if you have to, take out your earrings, remove your shoes, whatever it is that makes you comfortable during a fight. And then do it. And beat the piss out of each other. And then when it's over, it's over. And maybe it wasn't over. I don't know. I've never lived there in a neighborhood like that in Minneapolis or anywhere else. I've never been part of a circle of friends that thought that in order to settle differences with other people, we had to shoot at them. And I certainly had never been part of a group of friends where we were actively engaging other groups of people trying to fight them or getting into a lot of fights or whatever. And well, maybe I shouldn't say that either because we got in our shares of fist fights and things like that. But we never shot at people. We were never looking to hurt somebody's brother. We were never looking to hurt somebody's family. We weren't looking to destroy their vehicles or their property. We weren't looking to do any of that. When it was time to settle differences, you fight. Then you go home and you live to fight another day. And maybe you fight again tomorrow and the day after that until you've decided that your quarrel with this person is over. And we progress somehow, some way, to this idea that it's just better to let's just shoot at each other. Let's go buy guns or steal guns or acquire guns, however people acquire their guns. There's many different ways. And let's go shoot these guys. And, like shootings and all that stuff was happening way in early 90s, late 80s, things like that. But I think that was real intense gang violence. Or maybe that was just the way it was. I didn't live there. I seen the movie Boys in the Hood, and I seen Menace to Society, and I seen all of these movies that were made to depict what life was like in places like Compton and South Central and Southern California and all that stuff. And maybe that's the way that it really was. And maybe these TV shows and these movies are accurate descriptions. If that's the case, there was a lot of shooting. But where I come from, and the people that I know and are in a circle of friends with, or just acquaintances, that's not the way life was. And these two police officers that night in that gas station were telling us, these young men have forgotten how to take an ass whooping. They've forgotten how to swallow a little bit of pride and humble themselves and go settle their differences with their fists if they have to. There's certainly no talking it out. There's no discussion. There's a bunch of yelling, and then there's fists flying maybe, but ultimately it leads to shots fired. And many times over the 90s and the early 2000s, even today, people referred to Minneapolis as Murderapolis because there's a lot of that going on. And it's just like they gotta one up the person before them. And I wonder if it has anything to do with like this sense of pride that I can't show my face back on the block if I get my ass kicked by so-and-so. I just can't do it. So I guess we got to go to the next level, maybe. And so I say all this. It's very long. This is a very long setup, but just follow me for a second. And hopefully this will make sense because it made sense to me. Not to say that I'm the almighty or anything, but it made sense to me. That's why I'm talking to you guys about it. But then I relate that whole idea to this issue we have now with this election coming up and these debates that are here. Well, we saw one. There's supposed to be another one, I guess. I hope not. It was pretty embarrassing for the guy. I mean, I'll watch it if they do it, but... And I wonder what it is about Donald Trump that has all these people so pissed off and so beside themselves that they go through the lengths that they go to try to stop his shine. What is it? It's a mystery to me. And maybe the answer is very simple, but I just can't wrap my head around why you try so hard to put this guy in such a bad light. Now, I'll say this. I think Mr. Trump has his own challenges about keeping his placemat clean, if you will. I mean, he says some things that are probably off the wall or whatever, and probably could keep them in or say them in closed company and not publicly in front of, all the cameras and the reporters. But you know what? I feel like at times when and if he's tried that they twist it anyway. And so then his narrative doesn't stay his own. So he's almost better off being an asshole. And then they think he's going to hang himself by being an asshole. But in reality, he's saying what we're all thinking. I think. And so these people who are against him, they just keep going one level up and one level up. They have forgotten how to take a good old-fashioned ass whooping. You're losing. Whatever scheme or idea that you had dreamt up didn't work for very long. And the people in this country that you thought were so stupid that they'd never figure it out, have figured it out or are starting to figure it out. And then they got to one-up themselves. I mean, I think Donald Trump's conviction in New York to all these felonies was like the last straw. I think there was a lot of people in this country that were already talking about it, and they already knew it, and they already thought about it. And they're already on his side because he was already doing great. If any of the information you read is accurate. So if that's true, he was already doing great. And then they put on this big show, this long trial with some hush money to some broke-ass bimbo that Donald Trump may or may not have paid hush money to because they slept together. Big deal. Who cares? Well, and maybe he labeled it incorrectly. Says who? You think that this guy, who is a multi-billionaire, pays a measly couple $100,000 or 80, whatever amount of money that was he paid to that chick? You think I'm sure he cares about it, but you think he really cares about cutting her a check or giving her a suitcase full of cash to make it go away? I don't blame him. Pay her. But after he says, yep, all right, let's pay her. Let's be done with this. We got bigger things to do. And he gets back to work doing whatever he was doing at that time. I mean, he wasn't the president when he allegedly slept with her or whatever. But it came out during his presidency or his campaign or whatever. But why? Why would Donald Trump have the why would he want all that headache? Furthermore, why would he be worried about it? He's a multi-billionaire. He told his people what to do. They did it. And it was labeled incorrectly in some ledger or something, and now he's got charged with all these felonies. But the point is, it only helped him. It only helped him, and I can imagine the looks on the faces of people like Pelosi and Biden probably didn't understand what was going on. He was probably focused on the turd he just dropped in his drawers, but maybe the First Lady and Kamala Harris. I mean, all these people that are out to get him politically. He loses the trial. He's convicted of God knows how many felonies. And in less than 48 hours, he secured millions of dollars in donations from small amount donors, small party donors. I mean, that right there just goes to show you it didn't work. In fact, it backfired on you. And now the country's really turning on all these idiots. In my opinion, they're idiots. They've forgotten how to take a good old-fashioned ass whooping. And there's going to be another thing. And then there'll be another thing. And you watch. 4 to 5 days before Election Day, there'll be some massive scandal that drops. And it'll only make him stronger. I don't know. I just find it so peculiar that the tendencies and the ways of thinking of people who live in communities where they feel like they have to shoot and kill each other. The actions that they take to obtain dominance, maybe impose fear on the others, and maybe it's over territory or whatever. But the same actions that they take seem to be very similar to the actions that all the shitbags who are trying to put some dude in prison because he claims he wants to clean up the country. and like I said, there'll be another thing, and then another thing, and then another thing. My question is this. What is the real solution? That's what I'd like to see them discuss. That's what I'd like to see them put out. What is the real solution to all these things going on? It cannot be just one man. And now, because of all of this, it has been said that Donald Trump is elevating the next generation of dominant politicians in the United States government. Maybe and I didn't read on about that, but I just saw that mentioned. Is it Vivek? Is it the dude from Florida? We had him on last week. The video, that's really bad. I should know his name. But all these people who are Matt Gaetz, maybe. Not to say that he's like mentoring them, but his stance and the way that he the way that Trump sees things and directs things, and he does it with confidence. He does it with a powerful presence. And you're not going to tell him that it's any different. And a lot of the times he's right. Just the way that things shake out, the way that things work out. Just like before he left office the last time, he was at some rally and he said something, and he said, right after it came out of his mouth, his first comment was, the media in the back there, they're going to take that, clip it up, and turn my words into something negative, and then put it out and make me look like some kind of criminal or animal or something like that. And sure as shit, they did. And the credit for that goes to somebody on TikTok that was able to put those two things together. And so, I don't know, you can't believe everything you see on the internet or TikTok or social media or whatever. You got to do some research for yourself and figure things out. But once the liberal hive gets back to understanding how to take a good old-fashioned ass whooping, I think a lot of this stuff would kind of take care of itself, maybe. I think a lot of this stuff can be discussed. There can be action plans put together. There can be all kinds of things put into motion to do it democratically, to do it without having to send people to court. And now we're talking about, well, now that there's immunity, now Trump can get his revenge. And okay, well, that's all well and good. But if Trump gets in office, are we going to be focused on revenge? Or are we going to be focused on the American people, the American taxpayer? Because if it's going to be 4 years of Donald Trump getting revenge against all his political enemies, I'm not interested in that. Do I think they deserve it? Probably. Would I be vengeful if it was me? Probably. But I think in this situation, when you're a person that wants to be the quote-unquote leader of the free world, That's a job you have to take seriously. And maybe it's something that he can figure out how to do both. Because I'll tell you what, for his age, it's pretty impressive that he gets around as much as he does. Or he must have one hell of a comfy tour bus or whatever. But the man's always on the move. So I don't know. I know it's kind of weird, but this last holiday weekend, I had a lot of time. Some windshield therapy, a lot of time on my motorcycle, a lot of time to think about things, and I spent quite a bit of time the other day on my ride thinking about this very thing. Like I was saying to myself, Stu and I used to talk a lot about how these dudes forgot to take an ass whooping, and now they're on to shooting each other. It's very similar to the way that this whole presidential election season, and it hasn't even been the season, but it started months ago. It's really interesting how it all played out. So I think we'll just have to wait and see. I think that we're going to be one or two things are going to happen. Like there's not going to be any middle ground. Either it's going to be extremely successful or it's going to be an extreme disaster. I don't think that if Donald Trump gets elected, that in 4 years as a country, as a community, that we're going to be saying, well, I did okay. I think we're going to be saying, this worked, this worked, this worked. He did what he said he was going to do. Or we're going to be saying, what the hell did he do? All this buildup, all this talk. What happened? So I think one of those two scenarios is what we're going to see. And like I said, I don't think there'll be any middle ground. But what I am hopeful for and what I am looking forward to if he does get reelected is I'd like to pay less than $80 to fill up my gas tank. I'd like to be able to fill my kitchen, my refrigerator, and my pantry when I need to for me and my family, without it costing $450 or $400. I mean, just everything. And when here's the other thing I thought about on my bike. I thought about, why do none of these reporters and people who interview people like Joe Biden or other politicians who are let's just say lefties, and even some Republicans, why are these folks not asking them where the hell our money went? Why are they not being asked for proof of where our money's going? Like, if you're going to send hundreds of billions of dollars to the Ukraine, what is it on? Like, it's really broad when you say training, supplies, weapons, ammunition, construction materials, blah, 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 blah. It's all very confusing. It's very broad because it's a lot of money. And as we've discussed before, we got our own problems. That money could go a long way for the American people that are suffering, that might need a hand, that might need some training, they might need a break, they might need to catch a break somewhere. But why are we not asking? And when President Biden says things like, just look at our economy, it's doing great, never been better, inflation is on the decline, and this and that and the other thing, why are none of the reporters going, well, whose effing bank account are you looking at? What numbers are you looking at? Because I can promise you that the working class, the middle and lower class families in this country would not agree with you. Because they look at their bank accounts every day. And I'm guessing that many people look at their bank accounts every morning to plan out how much gas they can afford to put in their car, but still have money left over to buy dinner for their children this evening. Whether or not they're going to go buy groceries in general. Can they make their rent payment, their mortgage payment? Can they pay their car note? Can they go and see a doctor if they need to? Are they able to afford it? Copays have gone up. Medical insurance is asinine. And God forbid, you have to go to a free clinic and wait for care behind God knows who. It's been said that many illegal aliens are using free clinics because they don't have to say that they have insurance or not. They can just offer to pay in cash. And that's just the ones that aren't getting free medical care that's set up for them at the border when they come across. So who's inflation going down for? And he did that interview, was on, I think it was on ABC maybe, or CBS last week, to talk about his mental acuity and this other stuff. And the guy asked him a few good questions, and President Biden goes off into some rehearsed campaign speech. He never really answered the questions. So if you have the balls to sit there and tell me that inflation is down, our economy is great, the American people are doing awesome, and this country's never been in better shape, I'd like for you to be able to articulate to me where it is you're seeing that. And maybe it's true in some places in this country, but I'm betting it's not the majority. And so now this whole show this week became a bunch of political ranting, which is something I really don't like. I really don't like to do, because I'm not studied up enough on what's going on in our political realms to be able to have a super intelligent conversation about it. But I can tell you that when I'm doing therapy, which for me is on my motorcycle, when I'm doing therapeutic activities like that, these are the things that I think about. And why is it so out of line to maybe ask those questions? Are we scared to ask those questions? Is it something where it's like, don't ask because we don't want to know the answers. If you know the answers, then you know too much, and it's gonna haunt you forever, whatever the case may be. I think those are all good questions. And maybe instead of debates, we should have presidential town halls. Because if given the opportunity to talk to President Joe Biden, I would ask him just that. Sir, can you explain to me what's going on with our economy and inflation? And when he squints his ass eyes to tell me some lie, I'll ask him for proof. I'd love to. Where are you looking? Where are you seeing this? But anyway, it's just what's on my mind, man. And I felt compelled to share my thoughts, right? That's what disgruntled is. I was a disgruntled veteran that day. And I really kind of also, before doing the show today, I really kind of also thought about how to have this talk and make it make sense for the veteran population. But I think that it's something that should be making sense for everybody population, for everyone. Not just my community, not just the veteran community, but every community. And I don't think that it has anything to do with Republican or Democrat, left or right. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter your ethnic background. It doesn't matter if you're straight or gay, or you hate your dick and cut it off, or hated your vagina and got a dick sewn on. None of that matters. Doesn't. It really doesn't. If you're an American citizen, no matter what your race, color, gender, or whatever, political affiliation, sports team affiliation, doesn't matter. All of us will pay taxes. All of us are expected to abide by the law of the land. And all of us have to live in this space called the United States of America together. And so all this argument about gender identity and racial equality and all this other stuff, okay, maybe that's a conversation for a different place and a different time. I'm not saying it's not important, because for some people it is very important, and that's fine. But this one here, it doesn't mean shit. My concern is when our president goes on national television and will look any one of us, American citizens, in the eye and tell us that the State of the Union is strong. Americans have never had more money in their pockets. I'd like for him or some idiot on his staff to show me where they found that. Cite your source, Mr. President. Instead of responding with some political campaign rehearsed speech that maybe somebody from behind the camera was signaling you to say, no, do speech 4. Speech 4 is for this topic, speech 4. Whatever it is. Maybe they just showed him a picture of hey, this is the cat. Give him the cat speech. Or give him the octopus speech, and they hold up little cartoon drawings of different animals, and then he knows to say that speech right then. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the truth is? But our truth, the truth of the American people, is pretty simple to figure out. When you tell the American people that everything's fine and that they're doing great, and then they pick up their cellular telephonic device and check their bank account 30 seconds after you told them they're good, you're going to be good. Or they know what bills they paid today or this week. And they know how much money they got left to make it through the month. I'm guessing you're going to get a lot of pushback, Mr. President. So if all these things are true, I hope you come prepared. Hope you come prepared with your sources or somebody who's actually competent to be able to show us or tell us what this is. So anyway, I could probably ramble on about this because I had a good 3 or 4 hour ride to think about it. But I don't know. I really hope that as a country, as a community, that someday in the very near future, whether it's next month or 5 years from now or 8 years from now or 10 years from now, before I leave this earth, it would be lovely if the state of our union was as strong as it was just after 9/11. When we were as united as we ever have been since the end of World War II. When somebody came into our home and destroyed our shit, I hope we can be that united again sometime very soon. Anyway, have a great week. Sorry, I know that the show is kind of a little slow and dreary, but I had to get it off my chest. I'd like to say this quickly. This show, this podcasting thing, it's probably just as much about therapy, right? The ability to have a place to go and talk about things that are important for the community that you support most, or the community that you belong to, and hope to make a positive change is pretty therapeutic. And I find a lot of good things come to my life from that, just in the way that I feel. And I hope that it's helpful for people out there, and I say that because sometimes these shows tend to get a little bit long and a little bit drawn out, and the analytics show that not a lot of people make it all the way through, and that's fine. I get it. But I still want to have it up there. Someday somebody maybe they'll think I was some scholar. 100 years from now, when they uncover the old YouTube archives, maybe they'll go, well, I bet this guy was a scholar. He's pretty smart. He's pretty wise. But I doubt it. Anyway, have a great week. Have an even better weekend. And I'll see you right on down the road. Good night.